Hi everyone. So in this video, we will talk about the science of stress. Now, as we've learned, stress is the most important factor in brain health, not just because of its direct chemical and physiological effects, but also because people who are stressed are much less likely to take care of their nutrition, exercise, and mental activity. They're also more likely to have sleep problems. We've learned a great deal about the relationship between brain health and stress. And now there are thousands and thousands of research articles speaking to this relationship. Let's go over a few of the leading articles that show this relationship. In an important study in 2014, scientists were able to find that stress decreased the level of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You'll hear me say this a lot of times. Now, BDNF helps grow neurons, but more importantly, it actually helps increase the connections between neurons. This study demonstrated that decrease in BDNF levels consequent to stress actually inhibited the growth of new neurons and their connections, while stress-reducing activities increased the level of BDNF levels and neuronal growth. Other studies have further confirmed this relationship between stress and BDNF and the influence of stress reduction and the consequent increase in BDNF and brain function. In a study in 2007 on chronic stress and its effect on our brain, the study looked at elderly people with increased cortisol levels, which is a hormone in our brain responsible for stress, and it is affected by stressful events. Now, this study found that people with increased levels of cortisol compared to those who had cortisol levels in the normal range had an average 14% reduction in their hippocampal volume, and they had impaired hippocampus-dependent memory. As you may remember, the hippocampus is a part of the brain that is responsible for memory, mainly short-term memory encoding. Now, when they looked at all the causative factors, it was found that it was the stress and stress alone which contributed to this 14% reduction in the size of hippocampus. On top of that, when the hippocampus was damaged by the high levels of cortisol, it had trouble regulating the body's stress system. This means that even more cortisol was released, leading to a never-ending feedback forward loop that ultimately increased the risk for dementia significantly in this population. Since this study, there have been dozens of other studies that have demonstrated the relationship between stress and cortisol and how this cortisol affects brain function and develop pathology. When looking at this question of stress management, there has been a focus on older concepts like meditation and mindfulness. One sentinel study in 2015 from UCLA used brain MRI to measure cortical thickness, or brain size in lay terms, in 20 individuals who were experienced in meditation. And what they saw was incredible. Brain regions that were associated with memory, attention, and sensory processing were actually larger and thicker in meditators in comparison to those who were controls. What was even more surprising was that the effect was much more significant in older participants. And what do all these cortical areas have in common? They're all associated with reasoning and decision-making, emotion, and self-control. In another functional MRI study of the brain, the imaging technique was again used to measure brain function in people who were experienced in meditation. The brain regions that were associated with attention and sensory processing were found to be much more active in meditators compared to controls. The functional MRI is a very unique machine in its ability to detect active changes in short periods of time. And up to now, there have been many studies that have been able to demonstrate an increase in the function of different segments of the brain with implementation of tools like meditation in one's lifestyle. In a study in 2015, it was demonstrated that simple mindfulness-based training was associated with reduced hippocampal atrophy and improved connectivity between the hippocampus and other areas of the brain, both of which can significantly enhance memory and cognition. At this point, there is plethora of research demonstrating the negative effects of bad stress on brain health, as demonstrated by brain size and its function. And at the same time, there's evidence as we will demonstrate in the Optimize section, that good stress, the kind of stress that you own and is yours and it challenges your brain, has a completely opposite effect on growing brain and improving its function. We'll see you next time.